Hello Dr. Humans, welcome back to the channel and today's video, which is going to be a pep talk for briefcase season. And by briefcase season, I mean clinical exam season, when my Dr. Humans carry around those briefcases like their career depends on it. And today I wanted to give you some tips for the clinical season that I wish someone had given to me all of those years ago when I was setting my clinical exam. If someone had said these things to me and I was able to internalize them, everything would have been different, because honestly, my clinical exam study was an uphill battle. I did not get on board with the process because I was in my own way and I was feeling so awful most of the time that I was often in a state of detachment. Granted, I had some other social things going on. I had a breakup, my visa fell through, I thought I was going to get deported. You know how it is. But painful distractions aside, there was a huge component of me getting in my own way and making life harder for myself. And I hope that by watching this video, you will be set up beautifully for the season ahead and be able to avoid making all of the mistakes that I made. And if I could go back and do the season over, I would have done 3 things differently. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. If you can do these 3 things as you work towards your clinical exam, I can almost guarantee that you will be in a much better headspace and better place to achieve all of your goals whilst maintaining your well-being. Okay, so let's break these down. First of all, doing the reps. When you start studying for your clinical exam, especially as practicing physicians, what you'll find is that you have completely forgotten the routine of the clinical exam from start to finish. You've been doing focused exams during your admissions and ward rounds, and chances are that you've not palpated an apex beat in quite some time. And so now, things that you could do easily as a medical student are feeling quite foreign to you. You'll be forgetting various parts of the examination sequence, and that is okay at first. Totally normal to need a refresher on your examination skills. But one of the first things that I want you to do in preparing for this exam is to set aside time to work on those routines with each other. And I want you to do this as often as you can, as many times as you need, until this becomes automatic. Because you want the routine of doing these examinations of the different body systems to be so automatic by exam day, so you can actually gather the signs and solve the puzzle. You do not want to be thinking your way through these examinations and routines on exam day, because do you know what happens on exam day? Your sympathetic nervous system is off chops, and there is a very high chance that you'll enter what I like to call default mode. And if your default mode is having to think through the examination whilst you gather clinical skills, you're going to be finding this incredibly difficult to do on exam day. But if you have the process of the exam so well practiced that you no longer need to think about it and it all becomes automatic, then you can focus on taking in the information and solving the puzzle in front of you. And I say this from personal experience. This is exactly what happened to me on my short case on exam day. Ironically, my neuro exam and hand exam went rather well, but my respiratory exam was all over the place. I forgot to check for a flap straight up, I was darting around in this haphazard fashion, just seriously unpolished, like a third-year medical student would have judged me harshly. I kid you not, it was very, very bad. And this happened because I had clearly taken for granted that I could do a respiratory exam. But on exam day, I evidently was still at the stage where I was trying to remember all the things in the respiratory exam, and with the stress of it all, I entered default mode, and that was not a good enough baseline at best. So to avoid this problem, we need to do the reps. Make sure that you're able to do those clinical examination routines in a highly slick, polished fashion as your default mode. Let that be your second nature. Let that be your baseline. That will set you up for success. And it will help you with the next thing I want to talk about, which is being present in your short cases and long cases. So just like I described in my exam, the stress of it all, the emotional discomfort and performance anxiety made me detached from the experience. If I was by chance calm and collected, I'd somehow be able to do a short case or long case relatively successfully. But if I was stressed or anxious, I'd find myself just like a deer in the headlights, cognitively paralysed and not able to perform. It was going through the motions, but not collecting and gathering the information and putting it all together with ease. So for example, I'd place my stethoscope on the heart to listen to the heart sounds, but I wasn't truly listening. I was just there panicking. I was sort of there, but I really wasn't there. So even on the off chance that I might have appeared polished by going through the sequence of the examination, I would have difficulty then being in the moment, taking in the information in front of me. And it seemed to be that when I was consciously trying to do a short case under exam conditions, I'd be falling apart. Whilst at the start of exam season, when the stakes were less high, I was actually more capable of paying attention. And so I want you to be mindful of this as you go through clinical season. If you're having this issue, what I would recommend, in addition to becoming automagic with the routine, is actually calming yourself down before your short case or long case. Before every long or short, before you walk into the room, I want you to tap into your parasympathetic nervous system by doing these two things. First, I want you to take a big, slow breath for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 and release for 4. And I want you to do that a few times until you feel that sense of relaxation come over you. Then I want you to continue to do those slow breaths and say something reassuring to yourself, either an affirmation such as, I am capable of doing a good long or short, or this is a puzzle. I have solved clinical puzzles before. You find the sentence that feels good to you, that you believe, and run with that. Or if you're worried about something you keep forgetting to do, like if you always forget to check the planters, for example, or maybe if you forget to stand back and do general inspection, whatever it is, after your breathing is calm, say to yourself, I am going to start by getting the equipment I need from my briefcase, followed by general inspection. I will then move on to the hands. I will remember to perform the planters or whatever the thing is. Make something top of mind. This process is about tapping into your own abilities, being able to approach your long or short cases from a relaxed place where you can think clearly in the moment. And the last thing I want to give you today is the concept of progress over perfection. In other words, adopting a growth mindset. Understand that as you start to study for this exam, you will fail things. You will feel like you are failing at some point. You will fail in front of other people, your peers, your senior colleagues, people who you respect and admire. You will fail. You will absolutely fail. And us doctors are not good at failing, right? We're not used to failing. And these failures can be micro traumas or even bigger traumas that give us a negative experience which causes extreme discomfort, and they may lead to us avoiding study entirely, right? Leaning out of learning at a time when we really should be leaning in. And so what I want you to do is understand that if you are feeling like you're failing along the way, that is normal, and it's what we do with that experience that matters. And in the next video, I'll be showing you how to work through those feelings of failure during briefcase season so you can turn this into your superpower for the exam win. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's just quickly recap on the 3 things that you need to focus on as you approach your clinical exam. Number 1, doing the reps. Get those examination routines auto-magic. Do them again and again and again until you no longer have to think about them. Number 2, be present so you can actually take in the information, remember the information, put the puzzle together and pass your exam. Do this using that breathing exercise, followed by affirming that you are a capable Dr. Human. And number 3, progress over perfection. Understand that you will fail some longs and shorts as you start to try, and that is okay. So long as you give yourself the grace of progress over perfection, you will enable yourself to keep going, keep learning, and keep getting better and better. So that was all I had for you today. If you are studying for your RACP clinical exam in 2024, Rock Your Long Case is now open for registration and the spots are filling up incredibly quickly. It is literally blowing my mind. And so if you want to secure your spot this year, then go ahead, click the link below. And otherwise, we have so many clinical exam goodies coming your way here on YouTube, so be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really hope this helps your studies, and I'll see you next week. Bye.